Did you know you can make a searchable custom database based on your own documents using artificial intelligence? You can also create online podcasts with a click of a button using a powerful program called NotebookLM. And the best part about it is it's all free. My name is Tim Inklarger, and I'm a journalist with Supermarket News. I've been working in the industry for over 20 years now for newspapers and magazines, and I'm starting to learn how to use custom tools that are powered by artificial intelligence to help my research and help my reporting. And you can too. Here we are at the front page. It's welcoming us to the page, and you can read through this information if you like. I don't want to keep updated on NotebookLM with emails, so I'm just going to click OK and go to this. So here we are. At the home screen, it's create your first notebook. And it says NotebookLM is an AI-powered research and writing assistant that works best with the sources you upload. So here we are. Let's click Create. And it brings you to the source page. This is the first page that we're going to take a look at for uploading our custom database. Here we have a way to drag and drop files. On the Upload Sources section, it says it supports PDF files, text files, Markdown files, and MP3 files. There's several other ways to upload information. You can do it from your Google Drive here. If you have Google Docs or Google Slides, you can add those. Down here in the middle is the link section where you can add a website. All you have to do is grab the URL. Here we have YouTube. You can actually add YouTube videos. You can also paste text, copied text. So if you have a document somewhere and you just want to do a quick hit, maybe part of the document and not the whole thing, you just copy the text and you click on this button here and drop it in. Let's start with some PDF documents. I'm going to go to the files that I have and drop those in. These are quarterly reports on PDF documents that I grabbed from the Securities and Exchange Commission's website for the supermarket chain Kroger. This is their quarterly reports from 2024 and the end of 2023. So here it's uploading it. And now we have all of our documents. We got these 4 documents. But maybe we want to add a little bit more and try out the YouTube, the ability to upload a YouTube video. And so let's go to this. We'll go to this YouTube website that has one of their earnings calls. Copy the URL. And we're just going to go to Add right here in the Sources section. We'll click on that. We'll go down to the Link section here, and let's click on YouTube. I'm going to drop that link right here. We'll paste it in and click on Insert. As you can see, it's uploaded that URL right here. So now you can see we have all of our files here. And just as a footnote, you can only add 50 files as sources to the source section. One of the other things that you should know about sources here, and we'll just try it out. We'll go to a New York Times article and grab something here. Here's a New York Times piece. We'll go to Copy. And we're going to add it. Now, we're not going to hit YouTube because this is just a website link. So we'll drop this in here. We'll hit Paste, hit Insert. And you'll notice that it comes up red. It's highlighted in red. That means that it hasn't been accepted. The New York Times and other websites prevent you from uploading their material. There's a workaround for this, though. You can create a PDF file of that web page and drop that PDF file in as well. So let's get rid of this. I'm going to click on these 3 buttons and remove this as a source because it's not going to use it anyway. Once we dropped all these files in, you can see it automatically in the chat section populated Kroger Q1 2024 financial performance and SEC filing. It gives us a little synopsis here. It lets us know that it has 5 sources. And here's the prompt. You can just start asking it questions. So let's start off with a simple example of talking about their private label business. So we'll do something really vague in general. What is happening with Kroger's private label brands over the last year? And here we go. It's thinking, and it brings up this synopsis. All right, so here's all the information that you have. One of the things that's really useful about NotebookLM is that it has footnotes throughout its write-up here. So the information that it's giving you, it's going to give you the source of where it got each bit of information that it's quoting. And this is really useful for avoiding what's known in artificial intelligence speak as hallucinations. Hallucinations are basically shorthand for when AI messes up, when it doesn't understand something or misinterprets something or gives you the wrong information. So if you ever want to check where the information came from, you can do it by looking at these footnotes. Let's try this, and this is a good opportunity to show you how you can search individual sources if you don't want to look at all of them. Say, for instance, we want to pull out that YouTube video. We don't want to hear their earnings conference information. We just want to focus on, let's just do this. We'll focus on just one quarterly earnings report. So we'll do Kroger Q1 2024. So let's change it to what's happening with Kroger's private label business in Q1. More information, it's only going to be citing Kroger's Q1 report. And you can also save it as a note. We'll click on that. We notice over here, this document appears, and it's the response that you just got. So you want to save that for later. Maybe you don't want to use it just yet. There it is for you. We'll go up to the sloped carrot icon and click out of that. And that's essentially how NotebookLM works. There are a lot of different uses for it, and it's got some bells and whistles that you might not find that interesting, but it could be useful. For instance, you can create a study guide. If you're a student, or if you're just trying to learn more about it or test yourself a little bit, you can also do a briefing doc and an FAQ and a timeline. These are all the different kinds of notes that you can create. So let's take a look at the timeline. See, here is a detailed timeline of the main events covered in the provided Kroger Q1 2024 report. Okay, so it gives you some key dates of when things happened. Oh, and it also gives you a cast of characters here. So you've also got the frequently asked questions right here, and somewhere around here should be a briefing doc. But all that information is there. You can also create your own note and say, NotebookLM is easy to use. Now, one of the things that you might have noticed in these documents is the ability to make any one of these items a source over here in the source section. So for instance, if you saw something in the timeline that you thought was really interesting, maybe you really like this timeline for whatever reason, maybe you like the fact that it gives you a cast of characters here, go down to the bottom and you can convert it to a source. And you'll notice, once I clicked on that, the source appeared over here. That's pretty much it for the notes section, which brings us to the audio section, which is, I think, probably one of the coolest aspects of NotebookLM. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the studio section here, and we'll hit generate. It can take maybe 4 or 5 minutes. All right, so we've created the podcast. Here it is. It is 16 minutes and 28 seconds long. That's another thing that is a little bit quirky about their podcasts is you can't specify how long it's going to be. Not yet, at least. So let's give it a shot and see what it sounds like.
You're tuned in to the Deep Dive.
Hello.
And today we're going to unpack something that touches pretty much all of us.
Yeah.
Your grocery bill.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Kroger's financial performance from 2023 under the microscope. We're using their quarterly reports Q1, Q2, Q3, and we'll even dip back into Q4 2022 just for a bit of context.
Yeah, good idea. It gives us a baseline.
Exactly. And these reports, they are just packed with
One of the things that you can also do is download the podcast here by clicking on these 3 buttons. You can download it or you can delete it. The thing about it is you can only generate one podcast at a time. So that's something to know, because if you've created a podcast, for instance, about their private label business, and then you want to create a different one about their retail media network, you can't have multiple files. So what you're going to have to do is delete this one. We'll go over here and delete the conversation, and basically you start over. So I would highly suggest, if you create a podcast that you like and you might want to listen to it later or listen to it multiple times or share it with other people, you're going to want to download it. You're probably wondering, how do you have the podcast focus on one topic or another? And this is where you do it. You hit customize and you say, I want a podcast that focuses on Kroger's retail media network business. And I want it to be really funny. So we'll give them a kind of a joking sort of attitude here and see how that comes out. And here we go. Okay. Kroger Q1 2024 financial performance. And this is the one that's going to focus on retail media. Let's see if they do it. And they're supposed to be joking.
So you sent us down a bit of a rabbit hole with these Kroger financial reports. Specifically this whole thing about their retail media network. Now, I gotta say, at first glance, that sounds maybe a little dry.
Yeah, maybe not the most exciting phrase ever coined.
And there it is. We're getting kind of funny.
There's actually this fascinating and honestly kind of funny transformation going on.
Okay, I'm going to pause it here because I'm going to show you one of the really cool aspects of NotebookLM with these podcasts. And this is a fairly new feature on NotebookLM called interactive mode. And so with interactive mode, you can ask questions as the podcast is making its way through the podcast. You can stop the hosts of the podcast and actually ask them questions. So let's try that real quick.
Like right there in your grocery store.
Exactly. We're talking about Kroger, the Kroger turning into this, surprisingly big player in the advertising world.
Who knew? So we're used to think. So you said,
oh, hey there, what's up?
Oh, here we go. Yeah, you were talking about Kroger's retail media network and its advertising. How much do they make every year or every quarter in their advertising side of the business?
That's a great question. It really gets to the heart of why this is such a big deal for them.
Yeah, and it's something we were just about to dig into, actually. They don't give us a specific line item for the retail media network revenue.
Right, unfortunately. But we can look at some clues they've dropped in their earnings calls to get a sense of the scale.
Okay, let's unpack this. They do talk about their alternative profit businesses quite a bit.
Exactly. Go for it.
What are their various alternative profit businesses? If retail media is just one of them, what are some of the others? Probably gas sales, I would guess.
That's a really insightful question. It's definitely more than just retail media.
Yes, and it's understandable why you think of gas sales, given how prominent their fuel stations are.
But actually, when they talk about alternative profit businesses, they're generally referring to things beyond their core grocery sales and fuel.
Exactly. Looking at their reports, they specifically call out a few areas that fall into this category.
For example, in some of their filings, they mention external sales at food production plants.
Right, so that would be if they're selling goods they produce to other businesses, not just through their own stores.
They also highlight data.
All right, so that's just an example of how you can drop in on interactive mode and ask questions. If you get to a point in the podcast where you don't understand something, you can just stop them, and it's almost like having a conversation. That is, by and large, pretty much how it works for me so far. I do have a lot of use cases and examples of how I've used this that go beyond creating, large databases of quarterly earnings reports. But I found this one to be one of the most useful ways to use NotebookLM as a reporter, at least. Sometimes I just want to brush up, if another quarterly report is coming up, maybe I want to drop in here and see what happened in some aspect of the business over the last three or four quarters. I'm working right now on building a much larger database that includes, probably up to 50 or as many as I can get in there. And I've been creating them for other publicly traded companies as well. So that's pretty much how I've been using NotebookLM. If you have any questions, you can just shoot me an email. This is my first YouTube instructional video. I'm going to be sharing it with coworkers and other journalists, and hopefully we can get a conversation going about some of the really interesting and useful ways to use artificial intelligence.